Myself, I am Dr. Jntuh. In this class, I am going to discuss with the various file system mounting concept. So, moving to that topic, we should know what is a file. A file is an organized collection of information which can be existed in a hierarchical manner. As we know that a file must be open before it should be mounted in a particular place that should be available for what are all the processes that are running inside the system. The mount procedure will always be a straightforward sequence. The operating system which we are using will going to name the particular device and mount the particular point. Here the location of particular file will be going to be attached. The mount commands will act as a storage device of a file system which make it accessible by using an existing directory. The unmount command will be a information system to complete any bending of the file information such as read operation, write operation, and safely detaching out of file like that. The mount point is an empty directory. Usually the OS here will act as a interface and verifies that the particular device will contain a valid file system or not. The OS here will act as a directory structure of a file, and the file system is mounted to the specific mounting point. The OS here travels a particular directory and switching the file system to the appropriate location. So this is an example for the file system unmounting. To illustrate this, the below figures have been used. So this is for a first diagram is for a Unix system that is like a file directory. For example, so this is a root directory. After that, user is going to create a new file that is two files, bill and FRED file. After that, the FRED contain another subdirectory that is called as help. Here, the root file is here. After that, two files has been created. Among the two files, subdirectories has been created. So this is for the Unix file system mounted structure, Unix file system directory, and the unmounted file system. So this will be created in the subdirectory, and it will does not contain any types of subdirectory here. This is a decision tree structure. Here the root is there. After that, the users will create a two appropriate file. So here the undefined user is there. After that, this directory will create a two different types of subdirectory file as a mounting point of directory. So the next one is how a file sharing is going to be done with the multiple user. As we know that the file sharing of a file in a multi-user environment is very much easy. Here the sharing can be done on the basis of a distributed system and the network file system. So this is a common technique used here. The particular given structure, directory structure, will allow different number of files to be shared by the user. Here the system must be a mediate one, and the file sharing will have the different type of access by defaulting the grant access to the particular file. Here we are going to implement the sharing and protection concept. The system must maintain more number of files, and the directory attributes which are used here will have a own directory group. For example, it will be having the different types of concept of a file, whether it is a directory or it is a owner or it is a group or all from the other users. Like that, it will be having the different types of files. So after that, the file system remove file system application. Okay, if a multi-user environment is a owner's ID, the user here can change the attribute and grant access who has the particular control over the file. So if I am having a particular file, I am a owner of a file, I am having the particular ID, I can capable of changing that attribute, and I can give the permission to some other user which I want to read the file and write the file. That is called as a owner ID. Group ID is nothing but I am going to place a file in a group, and it contains a different set of users, and that set of users can also be shared apart from the owner. The group of peoples can share and access a file. It is called as a group ID. So this is the difference between the owner ID and the group ID. Whenever a user is going to request an operation, the user ID is compared and the owner attribute will be shared with the owner of a file. For example, so this can be used via the networking of different types of setups. For example, we can use this sequence in a file transfer protocol environment. After that, it can be capable of automatically setting up the particular file, and in the distributed file system, these directories are very visible, and it is restricted to the local machines. So it can also be semi-automatically available through the worldwide, because it is a commonly used system. FTP can capable of analyze both the anonymous and authenticated users. It can easily use it to transfer the file on a remote system. The worldwide web condition uses the anonymous file exchange that can be used between the multiple users. So this will be a highly integration between a machine that is capable of accessing the remote files and providing the files over the machine. Hence, the remote file system also uses a client-server approach. Whenever the remote file system allows a computer to mount one or more file system, the machine can capable of containing the different types of file will act as a server, and the machine that is seeking or asking the particular file is called as a client. Whenever the client is sending a request to the server, so server on receiving that particular request, the resource will be shared to the particular client, and the server and the client can be able to communicate depending upon the client server facility. Here, the volume number of available number of files on the directory can be easily be exchanged between the different types of IP address and via the security authentication procedures. So another important example for this remote file system is an NFS system, that is network file system. It is a standard Unix client server file sharing protocol. Here we can use the user ID of a client, and the server must match. After that, we can share the file. If they do not match, the server will not enable to determine the access right of a particular file. While in the distributed information system environment, the client server will have a easy to manage, and file can be distributed easily over the distributed network. Here the DNS has been used. DNS is nothing but domain name system. It provides host name to the network address translation, including the different types of internet connection. Here the distributed system will also provide a username, password, user ID, and a group ID to share this particular facility. For example, in the remote file system, we use the Sun microsystem as a part of our Oracle operation. The industry which familiarizes users having the username, host name, and the printer information like that. For example, we can say that Microsoft Common Interface File System is another example for this. Here also the user authentication is done. Username, password has been created for the network login, and a server used to decide whether the particular user has been denied into the system or accepted into the system. Each time the Microsoft will access the particular Active Directory, and the distributor naming structure will be shared among the particular users. So this type of moving forward that application is called as LDAP, that is Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. So another important feature is called as a failure mode that will be capable of accessing in all type of system. For example, if the corruption occurred in the file, the directory structures may not be able to retrieve the particular data. So that type of data is called as a metadata. Even when the new failure modes has been come due to the network failure, server failure, and the memory interruptions. So in that case also, we cannot able to retrieve that particular file. So the next file sharing concept is a consistency semantics. It represents the evaluating a file that supports the file sharing. It is similar to the process synchronization technique that here we are going to use the different types of input output disk, and a new network latency is also used here. For example, we can share a file system, that is any file system. We can write and open a file system immediately to the other user, while the other user also in the open file sharing condition. Likewise, both the users should be in the same mode. Next, moving to the next concept, protection of a file. Whenever the information stored in a computer system, we want it safe from the physical damage and the improper usage or illegal usage of the particular file. File owner or a creator can be able to control the usage of a particular file. The protection mechanism will provide access by limiting the particular file that can be made. The access is permitted or denied in the different forms. Read form, that is, we are going to read a file. Write form, write or rewrite the file. Executable form, load the file into the memory and execute it. Upon the file that we are going to add a information that is new to the end of a file. Delete a file. We can delete a file and free the space that is already available in the list. List the file is nothing but which file location we are going to save, and it can list the name of a file and attribute of a file. So this is the example for the access list and group. Mode of access is read, write, and execute. Here the owner can able to create the new file. Group, a set of users can use that particular file. Universe, all the users in the universe can use that particular file. Owner access restricted to the particular owner, whether he can give the permission to any of the user. Group access, for example, all other group members can access this file, can read and write the file. Public access, whoever around the world can use this file. Here, the change mode access is used by users. CH mode, the change of ownership of a file is used by using the command CHOWN. After that, change group permission is given by CHGRP command. Okay, like this we can control. So this is an example for a Windows 7 environment. Control list of management of file. For example, if I am a guest user, I can modify my guest as a full control. They can use that application, modify the application, read the file and write a file. Okay, like this I had given a different permission to the guest which are all entered into the system. This is in Windows environment. Coming to the Unix system, for example, this is a group of users, so they can do the read write permission. Like that I have to give the permission to the particular file. Okay, so moving to the next topic, that is file system implementation. As we know that the file system will provide some mechanism of storage, and we can access the content of a file, including the data of a file and the program of a file. The file system will usually reside permanently on the secondary storage devices, which is designed to hold the large amount of data permanently. Here, the disk which we provided can be having the two different types of characteristics. One, a disk can be rewritten in a place. It is possible to read a block from a disk and modify the block and write the back into the same place. A disk can directly access any block of information, and it contains the switching capability. It can, by using this feature, a disk can be input-output efficiency, and it capable of transfers the data between the memory management and the disk that are provided in the unit of blocks. So this can be explained with the help of this diagram. Here, the application program are divided to the logical file system. After that, file organization module. After that, basic file system has been used. Input-output devices. Input-output controls. After that, devices are going to use that particular control. Like this, layered file system has been introduced. Here in the condition, the file system are efficient and they are very convenient to use. Input output control consists of two levels of modes. One is a device driver, another one is an interrupt handler. Interrupt handler are used to transfer the information between the main memory and the disk system. A device driver can act as a translator for converting a high-level commands to a low-level commands. So it will having the input-output control over the sequence. So after that, the basic file system are generic commands. So in this, the device driver will access the permission to read and write the content in the physical block, and it is also having the permission of transferring the logical address into the physical address by the OS. The file organization module will having the know about the structure of a file and how many number of logical blocks are available and physical blocks are available inside the system. The logical file system will manages the metadata information. Metadata information is nothing but it includes all other file system structure except the actual data. So after that, FCP block is there in the layered file system, that is file control block. It will contains the information about the file, including the ownership, permission, and location of the file content. So many of the operating system will support more than one of the file system. For example, Unix operating system will support VFS, that is Unix file system. After that, it will support Berkeley fast file system. Windows supports the FAT and FAT32 NTFS. Like that, it will support, as well as CD and DVD format can also use for installing the application of the layered file system, and we can use the particular system. In the Linux file system, we can use the extended file format, for example, extended 3 and extension 4. Thank you.